Is gratuity a tip or are they two separate things? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. But this young lady right here, she is receiving a lot of backlash because she is saying that they are not the same thing. I'm going to give my thoughts in a few seconds, but let her explain why she's saying the thing that she is saying.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another day in the life as a waitress. I just want to let everybody know that gratuity is not a tip. Gratuity is gratuity, and a tip is a tip. Let me explain.
Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. All right. So I looked up the definition. I'm gonna play the video, but I looked up the definition of a tip. Pause. I looked up the definition, and it, hey, to give a gratuity to, this is a verb, all right? It's a transition, it's a transitive verb, all right? So just throwing that out there. To give, or it's a present, and if you used it in a sentence, this crew has tipped you the black spot. Okay, I don't think that's I don't think that actually represents it, but it's an intransitive verb to bestow a gratuity, a gift or a sum of money tendered for a service performed or anticipated. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Okay, we're gonna get back into it.
Gratuity is often split between all the waitresses depending on where you work. Out of that gratuity, the waitress has to pay the bartender, the person making your drink. Out of that gratuity, the server also has to pay the barback, who are the people who come and help clean up, make sure the tables stay clean. So when I give somebody a receipt and they look at me and they say, "Oh, gratuity is included," I say gratuity is included, but a tip is not.
All right, we're gonna stop it there because I also looked up the definition of gratuity, and then we have a point to make with all of this. But the definition of gratuity is that which is given without claim or demand, a free gift, a donation. Now, I'm not gonna hold you. She got a point there. She kind of has a point, and she's literally so close to about like almost landing the plane, but then she messes it up towards the end. So she has a point. She has a point, but we're gonna let her finish.
Gratuity and a tip is a tip. And if gratuity isn't solely going to the person who's serving you and your server is treating you right, making sure you have everything, keeping your space clean, being responsive, and just, being a great server, then you
Wait. Why wouldn't you be a good server? I'm just saying. Like I'm not like I haven't like declared my side yet on this. But like, why would that not be like? Why would that not be the standard? Like like if it's your job, like you're supposed to give me. You're supposed to give me good service. So like. I see where she's going with this, and it's basically along the lines of like if I'm doing the basic necessities of my job, then I should be compensated for it. Now I'm gonna get to that in a second. I'm writing some of this stuff down so that way I can keep track of it, but she's almost finished, so we're gonna let her get to it.
and you should tip your server. And if you can't afford to tip, then you shouldn't be out. Plain and simple.
Bruh.
All right. So we're gonna play it back one more time in full without me interrupting.
Gratuity is gratuity, and a tip is a tip. Let me explain.
Girl, shut the fuck up.
Gratuity is often split between all the waitresses depending on where you work. Out of that gratuity, the waitress has to pay the bartender, the person making your drink. Out of that gratuity, the server also has to pay the barback, who are the people who come and help clean up, make sure the tables stay clean. So when I give somebody a receipt and they look at me and they say, "Oh, gratuity is included," I say gratuity is included, but a tip is not. Gratuity is gratuity, and a tip is a tip. And if gratuity isn't solely going to the person who's serving you and your server is treating you right, making sure you have everything, keeping your space clean, being responsive, and just, being a great server, then you should tip your server. And if you can't afford to tip, then you shouldn't be out. Plain and simple.
All right, we're gonna unpack this now. I did some research, right? Now, and me personally, I've worked as a waiter for a country club, like back when I was in college for a small little bit. So I understand, like at least firsthand, like how the gratuity system works, and then how you get your specific tips. But she has a point with this video, and I've seen a lot of people giving her backlash for this. I obviously, as you saw in the videos, dudes basically telling her to STFU. But this is where I actually understand where she's coming from. The first part, she had me in the first half, but then she lost me. So one, when you look up a gratuity, it's a mandatory service. It's mandatory service charges. So basically, I was asking like if you have to pay taxes on this, because if you know anything about the law, if you do get if you do get tips, you don't get taxed on it. That's basically it, at least up to a certain amount. But you don't pay taxes on that. Now, me, I'm in California, so this principle is codified in publication 115 and regulation 1603, right? Where mandatory tips, gratuities, or service charges are included in the retailer's taxable gross receipts. So that's the main thing. The retailer's taxable gross receipts for the sales and use um, of tax purposes. So even if the funds are subsequently distributed to employees, so that's typically the difference of a gratuity system and the tip, which she clearly explained in the video. So this treatment aligns with IRS guidelines, which classify mandatory service charges as business income rather than voluntary tips. So she has a point with that. So the main thing that we're going to touch on is mandatory service changes, right? And this is where she's talking about where it's basically an automatic gratuity. So it's already included in your bill the moment that you get home. So if a gratuity is automatically added to your bill for large parties, right, you cannot change the amount. The IRS classifies this as a service charge and not a tip. Now that makes sense. So for her, if she serves the table and she gives them the bill and they're like, oh, I already paid gratuity, why should I tip? I can see her pushback with that because now when she gets her paycheck, that's going to be deducted from her taxes. And as far as reporting, this is where basically the employer must withhold federal income tax, Social Security, and Medicare taxes directly from these funds before paying you. And that appears in box one of your W 2 wages, not in the tip box. Now, the no tax on tips deduction, right? These amounts do not qualify for new federal deduction. Okay, that doesn't matter, but it allows workers to deduct up to $25,000 in tip income federal tax net, which hey, that's a lot of money. You got to be a really good server if you get in 25 bands right in a year. Now, this is where the distinction comes up, right? So I have a point with this, right? Voluntary tip. Now, a gratuity like a tip is a gratuity. So that's the main thing, right? And then someone else also mentioned this a little bit, right? Is that again, it's just basically it's a mandatory payment, right? Like so in theory it's the same thing, but legally it depending on the circumstance, it actually isn't. So she has a point with where she's getting at with this. But I'm gonna get to why she kind of lost me in the last half. But voluntary tips, this is where it's the difference, right? If you freely choose the amount and who receives it, it is classified as a tip. Now, when it comes to taxes, right, tips are taxable income, which is unfortunate, but you are required by law to report all cash tips totaling $20 or more in a month to your employer. That's diabolical. That is awful. But you pay federal income tax, Social Security, and Medicare on these amounts. No tax on tips deduction. Unlike service charges, qualified voluntary tips may be deductible from federal income tax under current laws. So you actually could get a deduction. So it actually might behoove of you to report that if you do get them. But potentially lowering your income tax liability, though they remain subject to payroll taxes, right? And then the basically the whole debate is that it's not the same thing. And now I've watched this video for a bit and everybody's kind of clowning her. And like I see both sides, but the part where she got me was when she said basically if you if you aren't gonna tip, then you shouldn't be going out. Now come on now. Like you one, people don't know your situation. Two, you don't know other people's situation. And I'm just throwing something out here. This is kind of extreme, maybe it's not. But like let's say you graduate, right? Let's say you graduate from high school, college or something. You want to take the family out, or someone has like a big achievement. You want to take the family out, but you're like but you're a little bit strapped for cash, but you really want to make sure everyone kind of has a good time. Like if you only got like a couple dollars to your bank, or maybe you're starving, right? Maybe you're starving and you just like you just need like you don't have time to walk to the store, right? You don't have time to cook nothing, but Taco Bell down the street, they got a deal that's like 5 for 20, something like that, right? I'm gonna spend my money and get the food. Now, me personally, when I go out, I always tip, and depending on the level of service, it depends if I tip more or not. So like I get that, but just saying that people like shouldn't come out, or I guess the real thing is like making customers feel like they're morally obligated to tip you just for getting basic service. So like if I order a pizza and I get it delivered and I get it that's what I paid for, right? That's why I paid the delivery fee. Now, I admit if you're going above and beyond, or you get there like super quick or something, or if you're being like just the greatest person on earth, like in that time frame that we have to interact with each other, it would be considerate for me to give you a tip. But like, or even if let's say I order a Uber and then you get me to my destination safely, like that's the that's the service I paid for, right? So that's where I'm kind of like at the end, because you can't make customers feel bad for you doing your job. Like if I go buy something at Walmart, like I go to Walmart and then the employee helps me find something, I'm not gonna give the employee 20% of my purchase. You get what I'm saying? Like that's what you were hired to do. Why would you not give me good service? And there's one thing where you could say like people shouldn't come out, especially if this is something that's happening to you a lot. What happens then if like what if people were like, you know what? I'm not going out. because I can't tip, or I don't feel comfortable tipping when I go because it's going to have me strapped for cash, which actually might actually be a good idea. But then like what happens when you get your hours cut or the business shut down because people aren't coming? So I think to a degree the gratuity, it kind of helps in a way to kind of like beat the offset of maybe low tips or anything like that. And I think there's a deeper conversation here. The deeper conversation is that if the tips is like, if it has you like on the brink of financial collapse, I think we got something bigger going on. Like I'm just saying, like I think we gotta go hit the drawing board, right? Figure out a skill, so, something, because this falls in line with leisure and hospitality. And if you know anything about jobs right now in America, basically we had one of the most like recent jobs reports, which was it didn't come back good as expected. And when you look at unemployment, things like that, like it's sitting around 4.1%. It's technically higher because like over 2,000 people just gave up and said, I'm just not looking for any work anymore. I think there's just a different conversation that needs to be had with, it's not like I'm gonna agree with you. It's not the same thing. Legally, it's the same thing, but legally, it's not, right? But you can't make the customers feel bad for that, and like that actually would be a conversation that you would have to have with your employer. And I'm not gonna hold you. Who wants to have that conversation with like you if you like most people when they look at their paycheck, they're like, you know what? Hey, like I might have to deal with some. I might have to deal with some BS here, but a job's a job. Hey, a job's a job. I don't care what nobody says. Like a job is a job, and it's actually benefit. How can I put this? Like it's actually, for lack of a better word, like it's a blessing to have one, even if it might be effed up. Right, it's better than being an entrepreneur, low key, right? At least you kind of have an idea of what you about to make every day that you go in. All you have to do is just show up, right? And then just perform your task. Whereas, like, let's say you're an entrepreneur, like, because if you really don't like it, hey, start that business, start your own restaurant. Like, I don't know. But, and this is going to be a hot take. This is going to be a hot take, but I see about 3 tattoos. Now, hey, hear me out. Tattoos aren't cheap. So I'm just saying. I'm just saying, but maybe that's a different topic for another video. But tattoos aren't cheap, so like I don't know her situation because it's only like it's a 1 minute video, so I don't really have too much of a backstory or lore. It's not it's so. But I'm just saying, there's just some things that I'm noticing, right? That just kind of have I'm just have questions. I have questions, right? I always have questions, right? Let me know what you think in the comment section. Is a gratuity and tip the same thing? By definition, yeah, they are, but legally they're actually not. So like while a lot of people were bashing her, she low key has a point. But I think she just lost me when she said, hey, if you can't tip the people that are giving you the bare minimum service, then you shouldn't be going out at all. I don't know. That's hey, I think that opens the door for a deeper conversation with employees, paying their customers. I mean, not paying their customers, but employers paying their employees a livable wage. And it's a tricky conversation when you get into stuff like that, because even because if the business is paying the employees more, then someone has to eat that cost. So if the employees are getting paid more, then you're going to see that reflected in the things that you purchase from said business, right? Things that probably were $2 are now $4.50 or $3.50, right? Like, so someone has to eat that cost. And I think I think the conversation is bigger than just gratuity versus tip. That's just me. But let me know what you think in the comment section. Is gratuity a tip or is it not? And do you tip? Do you tip? I do. But hey, not everyone. And then obviously, if you get bad service, you're not going to tip either. So I don't know. It's just, hey, we just got to lock in. It's 2026. You can't be comfortable no more. And if that's hurting you that bad, then we got to make some changes. All right, let me know what you think. Like the video if you did, comment, subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you on the next video. Hope you have a good day. Bye.
Pimp Squad, Club Ride Slab. All the time.